I want you to literally stop whatever you're doing right now. Just pause for a second. Imagine waking up tomorrow, but it's almost 3 decades from now. Are you ready for 2050? What does that world even look like? And what's your daily routine actually going to be? Today, we're diving into an explainer of a core report that attempts to sketch out exactly that unwritten era.
The source material we're exploring today operates under a really bold, defining title, Vision 2050, the Future of Humanity. Paired with its appended focus, Life in 2050, we're presented with an incredibly tight, cohesive thesis statement. I mean, these words are literally framing the trajectory for our entire species. They condense decades of wild, complex variables into a single, declarative blueprint.
Whenever we slap a year, like 2050, onto a concept, we're forcing an immediate perspective shift. We aren't just reacting to today's circumstances anymore, we're intentionally looking ahead. But actually, looking ahead requires a very specific mechanism. Using the word vision here is huge. It signals that this isn't just some passive prediction. We aren't staring into a crystal ball to see what happens to us as helpless bystanders. No way. A vision is an active blueprint. It implies that the state of things a few decades from now is something we've got to construct thoughtfully, deliberately, and with a ton of foresight. And then we have the anchor year, 2050. Now, this isn't some distant, unimaginable sci-fi horizon. 2050 is a crucial near-term benchmark for global development and policy planning. By anchoring the vision to this specific year, the text gives us a definitive deadline. It takes the super abstract concept of the future and turns it into a concrete, measurable horizon line that we are all walking toward right now. But let's be real, a timeline doesn't mean much if we don't understand the subjects who will actually cross that 2050 finish line. The ambition of this source material, it absolutely doesn't hold back when establishing exactly who this blueprint is for. The future of humanity. Let that sink in. We aren't talking about the future of a singular tech gadget or forecasting a specific global market. The text deliberately chooses the absolute biggest, most all-encompassing subject possible. It frames the entire discussion around the ultimate protagonist, all of us. The implication of centering on humanity is, well, it's profound. It means our source text explicitly refuses to narrow its focus to one nation, one demographic, or one political ideology. It takes a massive species-wide perspective. The vision for 2050 outlined here is inextricably linked to the shared collective destiny of literally every human being on the planet. Now, sure, talking about humanity as a whole can feel kind of abstract, right? It can feel a bit detached from our day-to-day grind. But the source material doesn't just leave us floating in these sweeping global concepts. It brings them right back down to earth. Life in 2050? By dialing the perspective down to the word life, the text zooms us in from the macro level straight to the micro level of daily existence. It asks us to really think about what it's going to feel like to work, to interact, and to simply exist in that specific year. It takes this giant philosophical framework and turns it into a tangible, breathing reality. So there's this really fascinating push and pull happening here between the macro and the micro. The future of humanity represents the collective whole, while life in 2050 zooms in on the individual localized experience. This juxtaposition beautifully illustrates the core dynamic of our explainer today. The broad, sweeping trajectory of our entire species is absolutely going to dictate our individual daily routines. You literally can't have the macro without it deeply, deeply impacting the micro. Ultimately, it all boils down to these three pillars: vision, humanity, and life. They intertwine to build this super compelling narrative about our shared path over the next few decades. Think of it like a giant puzzle. We need the active blueprint of a vision to steer our collective humanity toward a meaningful, fully realized life. They're just deeply, forever connected. Which leaves us with the single most important piece of the whole shebang. How do you fit into Vision 2050? Because at the end of the day, humanity isn't some vague abstraction. It's made up of you and me and everyone exploring this material. Your personal future is an absolutely vital piece of that grand macro picture. So as we march closer to that unwritten era, what vision are you bringing to the table?